So, intended learning outcomes. At the end of the lesson, student will be able to first discuss speaking skills and the need for relevant materials, identify the trends in materials for speaking skills, and lastly, explain the importance of utilizing verbal sources from real life. Next, let's talk about the four speaking skills. So in speaking skills, we have fluency, vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. So first, when we say pronunciation, this is how we say word correctly. Of course, good pronunciation, it helps people understand what we are saying, what you are saying. Next, we have here fluency. Fluency, this is the ability to speak smoothly without too many pauses or hesitation. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it means that when you talk, when you speak in front, your word flow naturally. Next, vocabulary. Vocabulary, it is the words you know and use when you are speaking. So the more words you know, the easier it is to you to explain your ideas, for example. So next we have here grammar. So grammar, this is the rules, this is the strict rules when it comes to using the language, and of course it is the way words are put together in the sentence. Of course, using correct grammar helps your listener understand exactly what you mean. For example, saying she goes to school instead of she go school. Okay, so these are the four speaking skills: the fluency, vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. Next, speaking skills and the need for relevant materials. So speaking skills and the need for relevant materials are important because they help students practice and improve their ability to communicate clearly. Because speaking skills alone are not enough. Students need materials like pictures, role play, scenarios, topic cards, or vocabulary lists to guide them, give context, and make their practice meaningful. So, of course, when we say relevant materials, it provides ideas, structure, and motivation. So making it easier to for the students to express themselves confidently, use grammar, vocabulary, and sounds, and speak fluently in real life situations. So without these materials, practicing speaking can be confusing, less effective, and less focused. Okay, so always remember that in speaking skills, we need in here the materials is always um, relevant. Next, one way to understand the notion, according to Bygate, is viewing them into two basic aspects, which we have here the motor receptive skills and the interaction skills. So, in motor receptive skills, these are the skills that help you to produce sounds and understand sounds in a language. So, for example, learning how to move your mouth and tongue to speak the word correctly, and hearing the difference between sounds like bat and bet. Next is understanding the basic part of the words, for example, the stress, the syllables, and so on. Next, so all in all, when we say motor receptive skills, these are about the physical and listening part of language, not about the meaning or about the conversation of two people. Okay. Next, interaction skills, on the other hand, these are skills that help you to talk to people in a real situation. Okay. So, for example, this is having a knowledge about knowing what to say depending on the person or in the situation. Next, choosing polite or casual language when needed, of course. Then, understanding how the other person feels and responding the right way. So, interaction skills, this is about using the language right away when talking to people. And of course, This is about communicating your message, building relationship, and being socially appropriate. So always remember the difference between the two. Next, so this perception can be further understood by observing that these two sets of skills must not represent clear-cut distinction, meaning to say, um, the motor receptive skills and skills should not be treated as completely separate or learn in two separate stage. In other words, students should not only learn about the grammar or the sounds of the language, but and later just learn to how to use them in a real context. But instead, from the very beginning, okay, from the very beginning, the students, the learner should learn how to use the structure in the real context. So, for example, the using the vocabulary, grammar, and sounds should be taught together with how to use them in real situations. So, all in all, when we say motor receptive skills and interaction skills, they go hand in hand, okay? They go hand in hand. So, learning one without the other is less effective. That's according to Littlewood and Johnson, 1982. Next, arguably speaking, skills are best developed when learners learn to eventually take control of their own performance. So, this means that when learners improve most effectively when they take responsibility for how they speak rather than relying entirely to someone else's instructions. So, this means seeing and evaluating their own performance from their own point of view, not just from the teacher or external guide. Tell them they understand their strength, their weaknesses, and progress internally. So external manipulation here, it represents or it refers to the teacher, to the instruction, or any other external guide. Next, so second language materials as viewed by Tomlinson should be created not only by the writers but also by teachers and learners in a creative process which stretches to the real classroom. Okay, so Tomlinson, he explained that materials for learning for second language should not only be created by professional writer, but instead teacher and student should participate, should join, or yes, help make these materials. This is because the teacher knows what his or her students needs, and of course, and the students learn more if they are engaged for something, creating activities, worksheet, stories, and such. So, by working together in the classroom, everyone can create materials that are more meaningful, more interesting, and more connected to um, real learning situation. So, Tomlinson perception coincide nicely with Nonan's 1989 view that teaching communication should be seen as a process rather than as a set of product. Again, so when we say learning as a process, it means that this is giving a emphasis to how the student learn the language, okay? And then when we say learning as a product, this is what the student produce at the end of the discussion. Okay, it's more on the outcome. So this means that teaching communication should be seen yes, as a process and a product. So this means that teaching communication is not just about giving students a fixed set of things to learn, like memorizing dialogue or completing exercises perfectly, but rather about guiding them through the experience of learning and using the language itself. So, meaning to say, students are encouraged to practice, to experiment, and as a teacher, you let them make mistake, for example, and gradually improve their ability to communicate on their own. So, this closely related to what Bren, which what he called the process syllabus. So this approach, which focuses the process syllabus, this focuses on the learning journey instead of a rigid list of topic or grammar points. So in a process syllabus, um, the teacher plans activities that allow students to interact, to reflect, and adapt their learning. So making the classroom more dynamic and of course more learner-centered. So again, both Nonan and Bren emphasize that the materials should focus on how the student learn the language, not just about what they can produce at the end of the discussion. Okay. Next, according to the syllabus, which what we are talking a while ago, which is the process syllabus, when materials are scripted by a writer, they appear in a form of pre-designed plan rather than the final production and are open to reinterpretation by the user of the plan. So, for example, teacher and the learner. So, according to this, so this means that materials that written by textbook authors or designers are not rigid or finished product. Instead, they are like what they call this blueprint or guide, that flexible plans that indicate what could happen in a lesson, not fixed script to follow word for word. So teacher and learner can adapt. Of course, they can adapt the materials that can suit what they are needing, and then modify the materials that you are using inside the classroom, or extend the materials that suit the classroom situation or the learner's needs. So as a future teacher, if you are a teacher right now or a future teacher, um, we always need to consider the interest of the student. Okay. It is through such interaction that pre-designed sketches can be best processed and earn condition to develop into appropriate materials that promote language learning. So, this means that interaction, the teacher and the students, for example, interaction inside the classroom helps turn pre-planned lesson ideas into effective learning materials. So, um, in here, it means that teacher may prepare sketches, outline, or basic lesson plans in advance. So, but these are not fully useful until students engage with them through communication and activities, of course. So, you can only say that if the materials is effective if it was engaging for the student, for example, or they can enjoy using that materials. Then that we can conclude that materials as um, effective. So through this interaction inside the classroom, the teacher and the teacher can adjust, expand, or adapt the materials to better suit the student needs. Again and again, we need to consider the student need, interests that relevant for them. So this understanding helped explain why many course book activities composed from the writer's own assumption, while disregarding the user of the books, often have problem working in the real classroom. So as you can see nowadays, course book activities often fall in real classroom or fail rather, because they are created based on the writers think will work, okay, rather than on what teacher and students actually need or experience inside the classroom. So when writers rely only on their own belief, they may design tasks that look good on paper but do not match the real challenges, learning styles, or um, classroom situation that user faces. Okay, that is why most of the course book nowadays is um, they often fail. Okay, they are not most effective. So these activities that create by the authors from their own point of view, okay, may be confusing, impractical because it is not based to what the students and the teacher really needs inside the classroom, and or also unmotivating for the students because it is not um, um, aligned with their interests. So and teacher may struggle to use them effectively. Understanding this help explain why some course book activities do not succeed in real teaching settings. So, according to this process syllabus, this is the reason why most of the course book that are created by the course book writer or course book designer is often fail inside of the classroom. Next, if materials are constructed for speaking skills, the interactive process by the designer and the user should take place through speaking, since it would be unrealistic for participants to simply sit there and silently imagine how talk might work from a written script. So, always remember that learning materials are meant to develop, of course, for speaking skills. So then both the person creating the materials and the person using them need to actually use spoken language during the design and of course during the learning process of the student. So it would not make sense for everyone to just sit quietly and read a script trying to what they call this, trying to imagine how a conversation would sound like. So speaking is something that need to be practiced out loud with real interaction, for example, because the rhythm, the tone, and the flow of talk cannot be fully understood or developed through silent reading alone. Okay? So, therefore, materials for speaking should involve real speaking activities, not just written examples. So, here are some speaking strategies. For example, you are introducing a topic, then you can use, oh, by the way, then you can continue what is the purpose of your speaking, what are the reason of your speaking, for example. Next is responding positively. So you can use this strategies, for example, it's very nice of you, okay, great. Giving time to think, for example, giving the time to, well, let me see. So these are the strategies that can use, that you can integrate, for example, when you are talking to different people, clarifying, correcting. Next, now let's talk about the trends in materials for speaking skills. Materials published over the past 5 years decades have been clear indicators of how the key principles of communicative approaches are incorporated into speaking activities. So speaking materials produced in the past few decades clearly show how ideas from communicative language teaching have influenced the way speaking activities are designed. So by looking at these trends, we can see that modern speaking materials focus more on helping learners use language meaningfully, interact naturally with others, and develop confidence in expressing their own ideas rather than just practicing isolated grammar, for example, or memorizing dialogues and pattern sentences. So in the mid-1960s, the learning of linguistic systems was emphasized as the main method to master a second language, according to Johnson, 1982. So this means that during the 1960s, language teaching focuses mostly on helping learners understand and practice the rules of the language, such as grammar, structure, and vocabulary system. So this is because teacher and the materials um, from the period believe that if students master these linguistic forms, they would naturally become good speakers of the language. Next, so as the result of this belief, speaking activities were often limited, okay? They are controlled, and based on repeating patterns or memorizing correct forms, okay? Rather than encouraging real communication. In 1970s, it witnessed a developing materials for speaking skills communication revolution, okay, according to McDowell, 1993, in which meaningful activities replace mechanical language exercises. So in 1970s, there was a major change. Okay, there was a major change from 1960s, which just focuses only on linguistic system. In 1970s, there was a major change, which how speaking materials were designed. Okay, instead of focusing on mechanical drills such as repeating sentence or practicing fixed patterns, teacher and materials writer began creating activities that encourage real communication. So these meaningful activities ask learner to express their opinion, their solve problem, and use language for real purposes rather than simply practicing forms that so this in 1960s to 1970s, there's a shift na nagkaroon ng shift in the revolution with the when it comes to speaking materials. Okay, so because it moved language teaching toward interaction, understanding, and purposeful use of language in speaking tasks. So, from 1960s, that it focuses on the linguistic form, and then 1970s, there was a changes to activities, meaningful activities. Now, let's talk about in the 1980s. In 1980s, it so attempts to make the communicative approach less extreme, so as not to put too much emphasis on use and ignore the learner's need for linguistic knowledge. Okay, so in here, during the 1980s, some language teaching experts felt that the um, communicative approach had become too focused on getting students to use the language in real life situation. So there was a confusion in here in 1980s. While this was helpful, it sometimes meant that important parts of language learning like grammar, vocabulary, and sentence structure were being ignored. So as like researcher like Morrow, 1983, argued that learners or students need both communication practice and clear instruction in how the language works. Okay, so in 1980s, they make the what they call this the linguistic forms and the how to use the language in real communication balance. Okay, so they suggested making the communicative approach more balanced, just like what I said a while ago, so that students could develop strong communication skills without missing out or essential linguistic knowledge. Example of reaction against the strong version of the communicative approach were the criticism that the new methodology was attempting to replace the structural approach. So, this means that some educators argued against the overly strong form of communicative approach because they felt um, it tried to completely remove or replace the older, which is structural approach, okay, which they call this known in the during 1960s. So the structural approach focused on teaching grammar and language pattern in a clear and organized way. And critics believe this was still important, okay, for learners. They felt that the new communicative methods which emphasis using language in real situation were ignoring the value of learning grammar, learning the vocabulary, and but the so, their criticism was that the communicative approach should not eliminate or replace traditional method, but should work together with them to support more balanced language learning. Okay, so moving forward, the early 1990s saw the idea of multidimensional syllabus becoming more explicitly and systematically addressed, which opened up new possibilities for encompassing a more comprehensive series of teaching dimensions such as function and notion, rules and skills, themes, and situation. So, in 1990s, language teaching began to use a more complex and flexible type of syllabus that include many different aspects of learning instead of focusing only on grammar or only communication. So, this is about multidimensional, okay? Multidimensional syllabus. So, it brought together the several important elements such as language function, what we do with language. It question what we do with language. Next, notion. When you say notion, this is the ideas we express. Rules and skills, how we interact and what abilities we develop. Okay? And themes or situation, context in which language is used. So, as you can see, by organizing teaching in this broader, more systematic way, teacher could create um, lesson that were more completely realistic, okay, more realistic and better suited to real life communication. Forward. So the main purpose of this type of syllabus, as pointed out by McDonough and Shaw, 1993, is to build or a range of communicative criteria at the same time as acknowledging the need to provide systematic practice in the formal proprieties of the language. So, in here, according to this, the goal of the kind of syllabus, so is to include many communicative elements since it is called multidimensional, like real life use of language, meaningful tasks and interaction, while also recognizing that learners still need organized and clear practice in grammar. So, vocabulary and other formal features of the language. So, in other words, it tries to balance both helping students communicate effectively and giving them structured opportunities to learn how the language work. This approach, which is a multidimensional syllabus, is to ensure that the learners develop both fluency and accuracy at the same time. Okay. The recognition of learners' differences and the importance of divergent responses in learning have been reflected in materials development over the decades. So, as you can see, from 1960s to 1990s, teaching materials have increasingly acknowledged, okay, that learners are not all the same and that they learn in different ways. So in modern materials, recognize that students may respond differently to the same task, use different studies and strategies rather, and express ideas in their own unique way. So instead of um, expecting everyone to produce identical answer, newer material encourage a variety of responses and allow learners to show their understanding in different forms. So as a teacher, you let your students, you give them freedom. Okay? So this shift reflect a broader belief that valuing individual differences help create more effective and, of course, more meaningful activities or experiences for the students. That the goal is to learn the second language. Educators and materials writers alike demonstrated a tendency to resist activities in which discussion invite right and wrong answer because that would reduce learning complexity. Okay, so many teacher and people who create or writer, author, or designer that create learning materials often avoid activities where students have to give answers that are clearly right or wrong. So you let them um, talk, you let them speak on their own. For example, you let them um, free talking. That's what we call free talking. So they do this because such activities can make learning seem too simple or straightforward. When students only focus on finding the correct answer, the learning process can become less complex and less engaging. So researcher like Turner and Patrick 2004 and such they observe that they observe this tendency, okay, this kind of tendency. So in other words, educators sometimes prepare open-ended question, okay, open-ended question or open-ended discussion or activities that encourages thinking, for example, exploring the ideas of the students and debating, giving their opinion on different scenarios or different situation rather than one that focus solely on one correct answer. Because this kind of activities can make learning deeper and more interesting. Okay, so next. The concept of textbook might imply the teachers are somehow deficient in their ability and knowledge and thus have to solely rely on the textbook as their primary source of knowledge. So, nowadays, when we talk about textbook, it can sometimes, of course, give the impression that the teacher are not fully capable or knowledgeable on their own because they are completely relying on the textbook. So it might make people think the teacher need to depend only on the textbook to teach, as if they cannot provide knowledge without it. So this idea can be misleading, okay? Because good teaching does not just come from following a book. Teacher brings their own understanding, experience, and creativity to the classroom. So a textbook, for example, is just a tool among many, not a sign that a teacher is lacking a skill or a knowledge. So a textbook can become tyrant within the classroom, demanding there be no room for deviation from it or for personalized learning. So again, a textbook can sometimes act like a tyrant in the classroom. Describe this by William 1983. This means it can control teaching too much, leaving little or no space for teachers, students to explore ideas in their own way. When a textbook dominates, there is often no room for changing the lessons, trying to different approaches, or adapting learning to the difference and interests of individual students. So in this way, um, the textbook from limit the textbook can what do you call this, limit the creativity of the student and prevent learning from being more flexible and of course personal, because they are just following the instruction of the textbook, not allowing the student to have their own freedom to express their own idea or opinion in a certain scenario or situation. So since classroom environment is often not heterogeneous but mixed to some degree in linguistic proficiency, interpersonal skills, age, academic background, gender, personality, language aptitude, learning styles, and other factors. So um, in classroom are rarely made up of students who are all the same, okay, which that's the means of heterogeneous. So instead, they usually have a mix of differences, meaning to say, such as um, they have differences such as language skills, social abilities, age, academic background, gender, and personality. So, how easily they learn language, for example, and learning styles, they also difference from that, among other and among other things. So, because of this diversity of the students, one of the biggest challenges or language learning materials is making sure that they can meet the needs of all these different students, as what Nonan 1991 says. So good materials, according to Nonan, should be able to support and adapt to the variety of needs that exist in most language classroom, rather than assuming every student learn in the same way. So example of this trend, let us examine three activity samples that deal with similar theme, namely describing objects, taken from three English course book published in 1978, 1991, and 1999. So first, you have here in Streamline English. So in Streamline English, this is called a nice plot. A nice plot, yes, a nice plot. In this activity, students are asked to, for example, to describe a room based on a given picture. So this kind of task encourage students to use descriptive language and practice speaking or writing while working with a concrete visual example. So this is the stream that in stream is streamline English. The teacher give a picture, for example, of a certain idea, and then the student will have their freedom to give their opinion in a written or oral way. Letter B, in interchange. So in here, the second examples from interchange, this is with the activity called same or different, okay? This is the activity called same or different. So in this activity, the students are given several sets of picture. So from the in streamline, in the A part, streamline, the teacher only give one picture. In interchange, the teacher give a lot of or a variety of picture or objects. So they are encouraged to work together and ask each other questions to find out how the objects are different or the same. So this task promote interaction between students and help them practice speaking, listening, and comparing, making the learning process more active and collaborative than simply describing a single picture. Then lastly, we have in language in use pre-intermediate. So in here, the activity in here called talking about places. Okay, talking about places from that word, from that title. In this activity, students look at a picture of 5 different doors and are asked to imagine what the rooms behind them might be like. Okay, so it tapped the critical thinking of the students. Okay, and also this activity or this task encourages creativity and imagination, allowing students to use their descriptive language again and in a more open-ended way. So unlike earlier activities that focus on describing a single picture or comparing object, these exercises gives learners more freedom to invent details and express their own ideas, making the learning experiences more engaging and personalized. So, for example, in the 1980s, some theorists believed that the more sophisticated the syllabus, the more difficult to implement it in the classroom. So, this is the what the during the 1980s belief of the expert. Okay, it would be harder, of course, for teacher to use it effectively in the classroom, according to SK 1984. In other words, the more advanced or detailed the plan for teaching, the more challenging it could be to put into the practice with real students. So this idea highlights the need to balance careful planning with practicality. Okay, with practicality, ensuring that lessons are both well designed and manageable for teacher to teach successfully. Okay. It doesn't matter if the materials is not detailed. The most important is the materials is the one that you can use in order for your learners to learn the language. Next, however, materials development in recent years tends to prove that opposite. As course design becomes more thoughtful, it also tries to make language teaching easier in the classroom by aiming for less teacher preparation. So, in recent years, the development of teaching materials has shown the opposite trend. So, modern course design is becoming more thoughtful and carefully planned. But instead of making teaching harder, it actually tries to make classroom work easier for teachers. So, one way this is done is by reducing the amount of preparation teacher need to do for a day. For example, so by providing better teacher manuals that guide them step by step, this approach shows that well-designed materials can both improve learning and make teaching more manageable at the same time. Next, let's talk about utilizing verbal sources from real life. So, when we say verbal sources from real life, it means that using spoken language that comes from real situation, not made up example from textbooks. Okay, for example, using recordings of real conversation, friend talking, people ordering food, interviews, and such. So, preparing materials might just one-third of the job. That is providing opportunities for learning, implementing, and modifying them are what helps bridge the gap between plans and effect. So, preparing teaching materials is only one part of a teacher job, about one-third of it. So, the most important part is actually using the materials in the classroom and adjusting them as needed. Okay? So, implementing the materials and modifying them based on students' needs help connect what was planned with what actually happens in learning. So, in other words, a good plan alone is not enough. It is how teacher but put it into practice and adapt it that truly make a difference in students' learning outcomes. So, preparing materials is only one third, okay? Only one third. So on might just one third. So the other, the most important is how you can use that materials in a classroom settings. Next, so to modify materials beside printed sources such as magazine articles or picture as a springboard for communication. Course developers can also utilize mini verbal interaction taken from real life and in the classroom. So, they can also make use of real life real life spoken interaction, so both from everyday life and from the classroom itself. So using these verbal examples help create activities that feel more natural and relevant to students, so so that it make it easier for them to practice language in ways that connect with real communication, of course. One method to seek for practical teaching ideas, as suggested by Tay, is by taping learners' peers group interaction in the target language and analyzing it. So, by listening to these recordings, for examples, practical teaching is suggested by Tay is taping learners' peers group interaction. So, by listening to these recordings and analyzing how students communicate, teachers and course developers can learn what works well and what challenges students faces that they truly experience inside the classroom. So this approach provides real example of language use in the classroom, which can then be used to design better activities and materials that meet students' actual learning needs. So, is it through this type of exercise that typical conversational difficulties or obstacles can be identified and translated into problem-based strategies for the teaching of verbal communication? So, by using exercises like recording and analyzing students' interaction, teacher can identify common problems or difficulties that learners face when speaking, for example. So, they can be turned into problem-based teaching strategies. This means that activities and lesson can be designed specifically to help students overcome these obstacles, making verbal communication practice more effectively and target their real needs. Another method is by finding opportunities to compare naturally occurring conversation with the designer version, which deal with the same topic. So, teaching materials is to compare real, naturally occurring conversation with the version created by the course designer or textbook writer. By doing this, teacher and the developer can see the difference between how people actually speak and how the material present the language. So, um, this comparison between the two, the textbook that write by the writer and the materials that came from the real conversation, for example, it it helped to adjusting the lesson to be more realistic, for example, and showing student language as it is really used and making classroom activities closer to real life communication. So, researchers have provided evidence that many conversations composed from writers' own assumption of spoken language do not always reflect actual context of use. So, this imagine the dialogues often do not match um, real life situation because they leave out important strategies that people use in everyday communication. As a result, students may not learn how to handle real conversation effectively if they rely only on this scripted examples. Okay? So keeping a diary might also be a realistic way to collect resources for designing speaking activities with. Such resources can come from overhearing conversation in public places, from radio or television interviews, from watching drama or movies, or even from our interaction with native speakers in the target language. So, as you can see here, according to this, keeping a diary can be practical way to gather materials for designing speaking activities. Okay, so teacher or course designer or course developer can use or can record useful examples of language they notice in everyday life. So this example can come from overhearing conversation from two people conversing in public places like listening to radio or television interview, for examples, watching drama or movies, or even from talking with native speaker in the target language. So, um, collecting these real life language examples helps learners or help to create activities that are more authentic and relevant for students, making classroom prac- practice closer to how people actually speak. So in conclusion, effective speaking materials help learners practice language in meaningful, interactive ways by choosing resources that fit learners' needs and using them thoughtfully. Whether traditional or digital, teachers can build students' confidence, fluency, and real-world communication skills. So, all in all, in conclusion, effective speaking materials allow students to practice language in a way that are meaningful and of course in a interactive way. So then when teachers are carefully choose resources that match their students' needs and use them thoughtfully, the materials can help students feel more confident and become more fluent with when it comes to the language. So whether the resources are traditional like books, pictures, or digital like videos and online tools, they can support students in learning how to communicate effectively in real life situation. So again and again, well-designed materials turn practice into valuable and engaging learning experiences. That's all for my part. So I hope you learn a lot from my discussion, which developing materials for speaking skills. Mm-mm. Hala, wait lang ma, hindi ko pa nasi-save.